Okay, hello everybody, my name is Alex and welcome back to Suzerain. So, right now I just clicked on this thing that talks about we're talking about the economy from my understanding. So, Simon Hall, Gus Manager, and Leas Graf. So Leas Graf is the current member of the Ministry of Internal of Suzerain. She's also a member of the USP. Okay, so this is an old guard member. He's a member of the National Suzerain Party, which is the USP again. And then we already looked at her. Gus is a member of the USP. So these are all people part of the old guard. Okay. We're about to arrive at the White Room for our scheduled economic meeting. This was the room in the Maroon Palace where all the important meetings were held. Two assistants arrived first, carrying a heavy projector. They stood with it by the door, waiting for the ministers to enter. From the hallway, I heard Leas Graf's voice. She was using the patient, almost motherly tone she often took in heated arguments. Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is need for more investment than Agland? I do believe this was one of the regions that had the poorest economic. If I do overview, I think we went over this last time, but can I not see this? This is situations. Got like an overview of the. Yeah, the USP is our party. That's right. The USP is our party, and we're trying to combine with the. I think it's the NFP, the socialist one. Yes, because we want to, no, the PFJP, because we want to work with Riker, I believe it was. Yes. Codex, let's just run back to Codex. Journal, turn 1, and declare my intention to work with the reformers for the Constitution. We have, yes, past reports, nothing. Okay. Leas, my interior minister, strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige, the only spots of color a bright yellow drasnist crossed on her necklace. Gus follows closely behind. Don't be an idiot, Leas. What about the unemployment crisis the greater Holston and Gresson areas are going through? These areas are economic heartland. Gus curled his hands into a finish. The minister of Agriculture and Rural Development temper didn't change since his days in Alfonso's administration, but neither had his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network connections were unlike any other. Simon Hall, which I assume is this guy, the Minister of Economy, quickly stepped between the two without looking at each other. He cleared his throat. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I am very well motivated, Mr. Renan. It seems our ministers are feeling the same. Just as expected. How's it going? I can clearly see that. What was the discussion about? We were having a discussion about the infrastructure plans. If I may, I would like to talk to you about the... Someone interrupted. We will get there, Gus. No rush. First, we would like to conduct my economic presentation. I'm interested in what Gus has to say. Of course, Mr. President. Sir, I have very good construction companies willing to take government contracts in the greater Holston and Gresland land. Can I get a... wait, here we go, regional map. No, this guy. I need the country overview. Situations... No, that's not what I want. I need demographics. Here we go. Gresland, yeah, is not developed as much. So these areas are more developed than this area, though. So they're saying they will ruin the work there. This would boost the rural economy. I think it would be wise to pick investments that would go through these areas. It seems like no need to rush this, Gus. We'll figure it out. Simon pulled a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. My staff and I have comprehensively analyzed every aspect of... He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of which were now visibly struggling to hold up the heavy projector. Oh, you can put that there. Pointed below the painting of President Sol, the assistants placed the projector next to the wall and installed a white wire on this wall. Leave now, I mean, thank you and please leave now. The assistant left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his faculty with numbers had made him the most sought-out economic specialist in Switzerland. Simon started looking for his slides. He always carried documentations around him. Wait. Leia leans to the table and spoke. Simon, what happened to the new police station constructed in Estor? Most oil-rich. Okay. While going through his basement, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to government property boundary issues. I have been meaning to look at it. Can I look at that one? Estor needs all the security it can get. Sure, more time for me to spend on analysis. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides he was looking for. There have been some developments about the Suzerain losing further value. We have been trying to stabilize it with the central bank. The recession of 51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was a significant cause of concern for our administration. Since economics is your forte, Mr. Renner, is it possible that you might already be aware of the data? I can still explain the current economic situation in better detail. What is our GDP and debt situation? Our current GDP is 310 billion Suzerain, and the national debt is 427. It is still hard to fathom that we lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years were tough. What is our unemployment and inflation rates? Unemployment has skyrocketed and is now at a staggering 16%? Nah, wait, no. 16 is diabolical. For context, the Wilhelm Republic, which is considered one of the most worst, unemployment, was 30%. I don't know. Like, 16% seems like a very large amount of unemployment. Inflation is relatively high of 10%. 10% inflation is kind of... unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. The inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. What is the status of the recession? The economy has been recessing for about negative 6% in the past year. The average GDP has dropped from SR 15,454 per capita to 10,354 from 1940 now to now. That's a decent fucking drop. This administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we can reach GDP growth, the better. I have all the information needed. Let's move on to the economic strategy. Simon scattered the paper stacks in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at his notes before clearing his throat. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Alphonse and the key foreign direct investments left us a large budget surplus which we can use to stabilize the crisis. The primary subject we need to settle on is what general path we will take in term. Solomamics-based nationalization happened in the 30s, and Alfonso's privatization began during the end of the 40s. What will our administration focus on? One of our main promises was to promote a free market economy to stop recession. To be frank, I believe it is the only way out of recession. I still do not support it. Why promote the private sectors when we have qualified state-owned enterprises? Because the lack of competition has made them inefficient. Simone nods. What are the consequences of freedom? The more of the economy we control, the better we can manage the recession. What are the downsides of planned economy? Humanity is in the 20th is thriving because of the rule of supply and demand. What are the downsides? I want to hear what they think, what they will tell us about the downsides. It is clear that the most of the control and other government-controlled systems are least efficient. The government is certainly institutions or corporations have a solid history of delivering. The structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions at the time anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make the economic choices on a case-by-case basis. This is, however, not recommended in my viewpoint. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Finally, something we can both agree on. There's important factors which direct the impact of our economy, superpowers. We have done well not aligning ourselves with any of one of them. Economically speaking, an isolationistic policy overall could only work if we were to reap the benefits of both spheres and their rivalry. This is a very dangerous attempt, but still possible. We must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised by Swordland. We cannot give in to their wants now or in the future, otherwise our country will turn into a pawn. Exactly, so I was right. What's the time of the show? Swordland would not be controlled by any nation. Precisely my point. We will stand strong and show the example to our world. I hope we won't regret this. For water. When the time comes, I hope you'll make the right decision for our own good. We should attract more foreign direct investments, Mr. President. We've saved the country for a full-on depression in the 1950s and 1953 by setting the lucrative trade deals with the nations of Risa, Vespia, and Qual. Let's not go ahead of ourselves, Minister. Wishka will be in charge of informing you on those type of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide on our internal economic plan. Samon puts forward a legal document outlining the possibilities with both economic and doctrines listed. The cabinet members looked at me. Let's finish with Alfonso start with. What's on our long-term economic schedule? Choosing construction, contractors, trade relations, tax reforms, and privatization industries would be some of them. Sticking to the solid planned economy strategy will be a right call. 5-year plans were fruitful in the past. Would a free market bring us stronger allies? It would make Arcasia look at our country in a more positive light. They are proponents of a free market economy. Arcasia. The Republic of Arcasia, commonly referred to Arcasia, is a constitutional republic located in West Merkpa. Interesting. So it's like the UK. Okay, so it's the UK, essentially. The influence Arcasia has on the world economy is extensive. Our economic strategy should be based on internal reasoning, though. Let's move on to the conclusion. What are your final thoughts, Mr. President? The critical institutions must remain in state control. We should look at opportunities like privatization to create. If market economy doesn't require as much guidance and could help us attract foreign, try to fully agree or disagree. You already know what we're going to do. I think we're going to do a market economy because I feel like we should focus on big trade. We should become a trade nation. If I can, I would find it really cool if we could become like Venice. So like a very trade nation, I think we should try to go for. So a market economy doesn't require as much guidance. It could help us to trade foreign capital. Especially from Arcadia, President Walker is always interested in expanding the economic zone of the ATO. We could secure lucrative investments from capitalist countries. So what will our general economic plans promote? Promote a free market economy as we promised. I can't say I agree with this. Looks displeased. Now that there is clarity on which direction we are heading, I will work on a good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. At our next gathering, we will talk about the incoming infrastructure investment plan. Now that the economic direction was decided upon, the ministers dispersed for a lunch at the Maroon Palace. Policy updated. Promote market economy. So the thing I'm thinking is, right, it's saying that we have the Kingdom of Rumburg, right? We have Angolia, Vadislan, Constantum, Morin, Risa, Puck of Wilhelm. Overview. Economy. Promote market economy. As part of we are actively promoting growth through the market economy. There's also a lot of news we have to read. There is a lot we have to read. So I'll probably I'll read this, but I'm thinking of skimming through it just because, like, so I'm just gonna right, we have our industries, pioneer, electronics. I think for right now what we'll do is I'll read the I'll read the newspapers as normal, and I think I'll ask you guys if you want me to kind of skim through these newspapers or if we want me to just sit down and read everything. Like what our look is going to be. Okay. Armament Industries pioneering electronics. A new prototype for the first pocket radio was displayed by the Arcasian electronic company Armenian Industries in Ventral City. After 6 years of research, the engineers behind the pocket transmitter radio have revealed the material science questions regarding the composites that have been solved. The company is now filing the patents for the product. The CEO, Aaron Briggs, is predicting an IPO at VCSE in the upcoming years. In a bid to raise further investments, Mr. Briggs has called for all venture capitalists who believe in the future of science and technology in the marketplace to invest in the company. The president of Arcasia, Dwight Walker, praised the bright minds of Arcasia engineers following the announcement and calls for further technological advancements for the military-industrial complex. Alfonso abandons Lauterberg's exclusive enclave. In a stunning development, former president and the current chairman of Gazprom, Awam Funds, has announced his departure from the exclusive Lauterman Group. His decision has been fueled by a growing disillusion with the interest of the secretive organization. Alfonso has also quoted saying he's intent on charting his own course away from Lautenberg. However, this abrupt exit from the group only a few months after his defeat in the 1953 elections marks another political setback for a man who led Sorlin into the deepest recession back in 1951. The Holland Post. Tourism, a beacon of hope for Sorlin. The Sorlin Tourism and Culture Preservation Act, currently under deliberation in the Grand National Assembly, is a shining beacon of hope, aiming at enhancing the tourism appeal of Borin, Ribberin, Lakevich, Enrik, and Biffy. The act promises to position Sorlin as a global tourist destination. As the nation grapples with economic hardship, the bill's potential to boost tourism and cultural perseverance efforts provide a much-needed silver lining. Fire strikes Holden State University archive. A sudden fire breaks out in the archives of the Holston State University. Isn't that where we went? It might be where we went. I don't remember. It's been a while since I last played the games. Since I was playing other games to finish out, so it's... I forgot a decent amount. I forgot some of the minor details. It was put out by the local firefighters at the burning for 8 hours and ravaged through the historical library, which housed many priceless documents. Reporters on the scene have relayed that the events occurred in the evening, with multiple staff of the factory being transported to the hospital with severe burns, but no death occurring. The rector, Sander Nevik, immediately commented that the incident has damaged several academic works and employee records. We might have lost the world, or we might have lost Merkopol. We won't know until the day when we enter the facility to evaluate. I think I already read this part. I think so. The Lachin Times, because this is where we're from, I believe. Freezing temperature records. Okay. The Meteorological Institution has reported the record low temperature of minus 29 in the city of Urizen. A warning for frostbite has been issued in the city of Southern Bergia. People are advised not to go out unless they must due to frostbite. Schools being closed. This one I know. We've done. Okay, as the Swedish National League prepares to kick off for the 1954-1955 season, the excitement and anticipation surrounding the league is greater than ever before. Football, once a minor pastime in Sorlin, has steadily grown in popularity over the past decade, with the National League emerging as a premier platform for the country's top teams to showcase their skills and compete for a current championship title. FC Gersol, last season's champions, returning with a core of experienced veterans, including star striker Håkon Brenner, who holds the top scorer title of the league since 1952. Meanwhile, FC Enrica has managed to add several new players to their lineup after new investments coming to the club, and is looking to bounce back after disappointing seasons and reclaiming their spot as the contender for the championship. While it's impossible to predict where FC Gørskål will finally be bested this season, one thing is certain: the Scottish National League is slowly cementing itself as a force in the world of football, and the 1954-1955 season is sure to be a testament to the league's growing prestige and popularity. Swordland Times. Yeah, that we've already read. So I didn't click on these three. I think these three I clicked on. Economic meeting held in Holster. Contacts close to the government report that yesterday Sorlin's economic policies have been planned out behind closed doors. Shortly after the meeting was also attended by President Renan, the Minister of Economic has released a statement regarding their short-term economic plan, which includes the promotion of a free market. fueling Swordaland's tomorrow. Unfazed by the recent political development, Gascom is set to bolster Swordaland's infrastructure and support its ongoing development efforts. As one of Swordaland's largest companies, Gascom's financial aid, logistical supports, and equipment aid are crucial to Swordaland's economic resurgence. The support provided by the corporation, whose roots are intertwined with our nation's own, exemplify the corporation's dedication to Swordaland's prosperity. This advertisement was sponsored by the Alfonso Foundation. Radical. We have 3. Ooh, oh no. Okay. Nationalist violence. A man in his 20s has been beaten with baseball bats in the Parlamento-style attack in Arvion. The man claims to have been attacked because of his ethnic background as an Anglo-Swedish citizen. He was approached during a walk at the park by a group of right-wing extremists who are suspected to be regulars of the National Front Party. I see. The fascists. The group inflicted injuries to his legs and arms, police said. The man was brought to the hospital after making his way to the nearby property. The police service of Arvion said it's brutal attacks for which there is no justification. There's no place for attacks for such in our society, said Ulrich Neal, mayor of Arvion, and called for unity and urged restraint from the populace. I agree. Alphonse ditches Lauterberg, a sign of discord. Erwin Alphonse, the once influential political figure and former president, has publicly severed ties with the influential Lautenberg group. Frustrated by the group's direction, Alfonso, the current chairman of Gascom, is determined to steer his own path. Despite his apparent show of independence, one cannot help but view his decision as a demonstration of a growing rift with Lautenberg. Alfonso's political failures, including a devastating loss to the President Antoine Rene in the 1953 elections and his triggering of the 1951 recession, cast a long shadow over his move. On Earth, the Izami incident? Izama? Okay, decades after the infamous Azam incident, new unconfirmed information emerges that challenges the official state narratives. As per anonymous former Black Battalion sources, the incident was not an act of foreign aggression to destabilize Swordaland, but a government conspiracy to gain influence. Materials relating to members of the Old Guard faction revealing startling information about the involvement of high-ranking government officials in the incident, some of which are power positions to this day. Our paper won't disclose the details due to potential safety reasons. This refreshed perspective on the bloody incident of 1953 necessitates a reassessment of Sworda's history, promising to reshape our understanding of the bloodist movement. So I have to I have a feeling the Old Guard are going to try to pull some shenanigans. Geopolitical. Risa firmly refutes Pale's retort in Aurora's gas field dispute. In the recent twist of the Aurora's offshoot gas field saga, the Kingdom of Risa has strongly refuted the Grand Duchy of Pale's counterclaim. This development escalates last year's surprise move by Risa, which asserts ownership based on historical records and long-standing Andor Maritime Agreement. The claim had initially put significant pressure on Pales and caused notable fluctuations in Mercapol's energy markets. The Grand Duchy of Pales, countering Risa's assertions, had presented their own historical evidence and legal agreements to justify their exploitative rights. This counterclaim added fuel to the already tensive dispute, drawing keen attention from across Mercapol and promoting offers of international mediation to prevent further escalation. Despite the ongoing diplomatic efforts, the deadlock continues to unsettle the region's energy sector. Energy companies across Mercapol expressed growing concerns about the operation's disruptions and potential impact on the region's energy supply. The persistence of this dispute threatens not only immediate economic interests, but the long-term stability of energy markets. Rumberg coming south? Our foreign policy analysts are reviewing the recent aggressive military and diplomatic developments of Rumberg, have come to the conclusion it's highly likely that Rumberg will try to keep pushing south, threatening the territories of Swordaland, Wilhelm, and possibly Angolia. The War of Broken Wills, many decades, was just the beginning. Rumberg seems to be on a quest to secure all strategic resources in eastern Mercapola. Interesting. Oh, also, some one interesting fact, I saw a comment say that, I don't know if it's true, but it is interesting if it is. I was told by a comment that there has not been a world war in this universe. So canonically, World War I, or a version of World War I, has not happened yet, which might explain why there's a bunch of kingdoms. As generally after World War I, the concept of a kingdom kind of started falling around in Europe. Assuming that that's what this map is supposed to represent, is supposed to be our version of Europe, this world's version of Europe, and a little bit of not. I don't fully know. So it looks like there's a couple of these places we can click on. I do wonder what they do. Let's click on the Kingdom of Risa for an example. Read the report. Risa congratulates election victory. King Romulus Taurus of Risa has formally extended warm congratulations to President Antoine Rene following his electoral success. In an official address, he praised Roland's so-called democratic ethos and expressed a keen interest in fortifying bilateral ties under the Renan administration. The king anticipates a future of close collaboration and mutual respect between the two nations regarding the government differences. Promising agricultural growth. For the first time in 3 years, the agricultural output of Sarina has increased. Many experts link the increased output to both a drop in temperature and the new farming practices that have been adopted in recent years. Additionally, farmers are now accessing more generous credit allowance from the government that was left over from the Alfonso administration. The Ministry of Agriculture reports that the region's agricultural industry has the potential to become a powerhouse in the future if investment persists. Interesting. Okay, so I don't... So how do I want to read more of the outside of Sorland. Here we go. Yes. So, right, we just clicked on Risa. Let's look at Vespia. Let's click on all the ones for the Vespia. Read the report. Congratulations from Prime Minister Alvins. Has congratulated for the results and spoken about helps and the beneficial partnership deal in the future. He has sent his best wishes to the Shorter's people and warned us about the threats of the incredible Malkovists' influence of Unite Katana. From the east, emphasize the importance of unity in the region. What is this? Arcasia Treaty Organization, the ATO. Oh, this is longer. In response to the glowing tensions, the Arcasia Treaty Organization, or the ATO, an intergovernmental military and economic alliance of 14 countries, primarily led by Arcasia, has issued an expansive report examining the state of human rights worldwide. Amid intensifying nuclear developments and the efforts to counter-expand the expanding influence of Cortana's Security Pact, the CSP, the ATO commitment to championing human rights remains unwavering. The reports meticulously identify regions worldwide where human rights are most endangered, shedding light on regions of concern in multiple continents, such as Eastern Mercapola, Western Rica, and Southern Cortana. Proposed strategies underline the need for actionable collaboration efforts to address these crises, championing an international focus on basic human rights and freedoms. As the specter of potential tensions and proxy wars looms, the report calls for nations to remember that the fight for universal respect for human dignity transcends political and ideological divisions. Okay. You don't have anything. The Gilded Royal Alliance. Wilhelm. Congratulations from President Smolak. Collaborative future and diplomatic situation. Normalized the diplomatic situation between the two countries. The Cortana Security Pact. Okay. The CSP and the Federation of Ankara signed historical NPA. A significant step forward in the international diplomacy, the CSP, an intergovernmental military and economic alliance of 9 countries led by United Cortana, has signed a 5-year non-aggression pact with the Federation of Ankar Isles. This landmark agreement underlines the CSP's commitment to broadening its influence beyond its home continent of Cortana while maintaining peaceful relations across the globe. The pact demonstrates the CSP's ongoing efforts to peacefully extend its influence across the Anharaka archipelago, marking an important turn in the complex geopolitical landscapes as the CSP strengthens its global position to counteract the capitalist influence of the ATO. This agreement signals a commitment to strategic peaceful expansion that respects the sovereignty of nations that lie in this ocean between the UC and Arcasia. Oh, and then that's I'm assuming these are all within our country. Yeah, these are all within our country. Read the report. Congratulations from Prime Minister Van Hooven. Signals his wishes to continue trade partnerships as equal partners, as he believes earlier trades gave Switzerland unfair advantages. Okay, so he wants us to re-advise trade policies that benefits both parties. Okay. Democratic Republic of Varslan. I send congratulations on a great victory and close cooperation. Signal concursions from Vienna in case of a promising. He has also congratulated democracy for the growing election, warned us about the Arcasia's growing influence poses on Eastern Merple. Interesting. So, our economy is unstable. We have a budget of $7 and 3 personal wealth. Okay, now that we've done kind of looking over, let's go back to Swordland. And we have a couple of places we need to go to. Let's hit Lefin. Let's read the report. Has organized. Okay, so the Nature Perseverance Foundation has organized a march promoting economical practices in nature preservation, local communities, environmental issues, and how the city, right? The city province area has a unique biodiversity. Okay, so economic. So should we just Teddy Roosevelt this shit? I'm kind of tempted to Teddy Roosevelt this shit. We'll focus on wilderness, perseverance, and then economic growth for right now. See what Borland has to say. Insurgent demand for local wines has led to busy season of vineyards and vineries. The cause of this was from economic interests. Oh! I see. So this is our wine region. I see, so we can use this when selling stuff. So like this could be a major city for our policy of like international trade. Orana has massive amounts of unemployment, seems to rise. The unemployment in Morana has rose to 9% in the following year. The last 6 months have almost erased all gains in employment over the last 2 decades. So we need to focus on that. Derir, read the report. Is among. Okay, so this has diabolical amounts of homelessness in just the last 6 years. Has discovered oil. Okay, so it looks like gas, oil, and wine might be our 3 major trade things for right now. But since we're right next to this giant country, that does concern me a little bit, I won't lie. Before we do this, Goddess Goal, infrastructure report. With more than left and quit being mothballed in recent years, the lines increasing demand of goods is pushing them to its limits. The railway, so we need to improve the infrastructure of this city. The port. So it's complaining that so this is talking about how the city of Lanchev is not a bustling port city, but it could be. Okay, so it's saying that. Okay, so it looks like Lanchev, Narpal, and and Vespor. It was no Borin. Borin's the wine one. Yeah, Borin's the Rhine city. We need to focus on those. Lanchev, and then this is talking about sea rigs. Okay, and that there's an oil rig, so the production of the city might be reduced. Langtrud mentions, but we need to improve the infrastructure in this region. Lack of investments in this city with infrastructure and low production. And this region's just like hell on earth. Okay, so this region needs a lot of support. Okay. Meeting with the media strategist. We'll get to that in a second. Read the report. The Grand National is ready to Tourism Act. We saw that earlier. Aims to enhance the cultural reasons of the recent cities. Borin, Ribbon, Lanchev, Enrica, and Benfrey. Borin would be wine. Lanchev is the port. Enrica... Wasn't that the... Oh, that's Narin. Enrica? Enrica. Where's Enrica? Enrica. Relax. I see. Okay, so yeah, that is a good place. It's a historical place. Read the logistics. So in recent and Holston, growing concerns of escalation of traffic congestion. So he wants better infrastructure, essentially, to account for that. Okay, and then read the public opinion. More people feel the Democratic and the government has changed for the last decade. Reformist propaganda from the leader, Franz Richter, has resulted in massive increase in the demands for public democratic reforms. It is estimated the current 55. Okay, that's actually great because we want to work with them. So that's great if the population wants this to happen. We have to read a report on the fire, which we already read, mentioning is worse than expected. Damn. Near a complete destruction of employee records from 1890. Fuck. The general staff gathers. The conveys right after the election. Congratulates everybody. All branches of the Swedish armed forces were represented in a meeting that took place on Camp Sturm with large security measures. The chief of the armed forces, Kruger, made a public statement highlighting the increased chances of military confrontation in Eastern Poland and request support to strengthen the military. Meeting with the media strategists. Lucian and Peter! Peter, my boy! Peter! Arrived at my office to talk about recent developments in military strategies. They both took their seats across from me. Lucan puts on his reading glasses and quickly went over some documents. Peter turned to Lucian and nodded. Greetings, gentlemen. I have just received further information from the interior about the sudden fire that broke out in Holston State University archives nearby. Was it put out quickly? The firefighters put out the fire as soon as they could, yet it has been burning for 6 hours, so extensive damage was done to the archives in the building. I'll arrange medals to recognize their bravery for doing the best. The Holston Fire Department is full of tough champs. The information we received raises some eyebrows. The initial reports from the Holston Police Chief indicates a potential arson case. In accordance with the protocol, the Swedish Intelligence Directorate has been called. Is the SID really necessary for this? Why would anyone hit the archives of a university in the first place? I see no logical motive. It seems like the chief suspects foreign sabotage. They inform us that the large section of the archive has been destroyed. It includes tens of thousands of globally recognized research developments original by great thinkers of our people. It's a shame that so much knowledge was lost. Luckily, most of the original copies in the other universities and some internal... The first edition of my favorite book, The Geopolitics of Switzerland by Hermann Iqua, was destroyed too. Maybe it's just a freak accident. We do have the copies of most important works, so no single file can eradicate our knowledge. I see no point in destroying employee records either. More importantly, Lucian mentioned that Marshal, son of the Conrad, he operates the IOSA and... Interesting. Contacted him. The Chorus have known to be as one of the richest and most influential families in Switzerland, was no exception. He was the oldest son of Konrad Konrik, the industrial and media Mongol who founded HOS, the richest man of the entirety of Lucian turned to me. He has offered to meet with you, Mr. President. What does he want? After the passing of his father, may he rest in peace, aims to become the next CEO. He mentions a productive collaboration. They are powerful, influential media conglomerates. To start with, they own today's paper, the Swedish broadcast, and it means it would be wise to have them by our side. Sorry for interrupting. What does this... productive collaboration entail? He did not wish to explain the details over the phone, but rather in person. I believe we will be receiving a call from him sometime soon. However, as Peter said, they have substantial power over the content of the media outlets. Headlines, radio shows, that it's what he's offering. What he wants to return is what we need to understand. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to determine our general approach to media. I'm no media expert, but Lucian made some interesting arguments at the preparation meeting yesterday. There are two ways we could influence media. One of them is influencing, which it has clear. The other is keeping it independent. Media must be independent. Ideally, yes, but an unpopular leader will not be able to pass even the easiest reforms. It is utmost important to maintain public popularity and avoid damaging scandals and mistakes. I must stress one thing, Mr. President. The more people we have supporting our agenda, the more we can accomplish. With someone on our side and influence media, we can do this easily. I see where you're getting at. I agree with Lucian, but why the assumption there will be scandals and mistakes? We can always hope for the best, but we do really need to think that nothing can go wrong, especially considering the very recent history of Sordland. 2 knocks were heard at the door. Who is it? It's Leva, Mr. President. Leva, my new secretary, enters the office. Her dark curls bounce as she crossed the room to my desk. She spoke with a slight lit in her voice. Excuse me, Mr. Glad's Lucian's secretary has been calling me and wanted to relay a message. He's on the line for Mr. Glad. Well, the ball is in our court now. Would you like to talk to him, sir, or would you like me to? I'd like to talk to him. Connect the line to my office. Right away, sir. Connecting the line to 1. Eva left the room and the phone starts ringing. I pick it up. Hello, Marcel. Greetings, Mr. Raynor. I know your time is valuable, so I will not waste a minute. I was elected the CEO of Haas. My strategy in running of this conglomerate will be different than my father's approach. This is why I'm offering a partnership deal regarding our media branch. I would like to formally invite you to my resort near Conrad for a meeting to discuss the details. What does that entail? Our future's partners, Mr. President. Surely we can't talk details on the phone. I just wish to face to face. I will send details through your secretary if you're interested. But okay, so the thing is, I would like to hear what he says, but the only problem is I feel like it would be a scandal to go to a resort. So I'm gonna have to refuse. That is a shame. Thank you for your time nonetheless. Good luck in the future. That is a clear no. Very well. I hope we made the right call. Well, that makes things clear. We should focus on other things anyway. Look at his watch. Appears we are done for today. We'll continue where we left off later. Oh, thank you for your time. I expect you to bring better allies to the table. See you soon, gentlemen. Gathered diary and promptly left my office. We're gathering our attention of key figures and potentially dangerous ones. Okay, my only problem is that my fear, right, overview. Okay. My only issue, right, and turn 1, we have a rejected offer to meet privately with the new CEO. Yeah, because my logic is this. If we meet privately with the CEO of a media conglomerate, right, we have a bunch of different newspapers that are going around that could talk about things. And I can only imagine they could then send, right? I could imagine the Economics or the Lancashire Times or Sordland Today would send a message going, hey, it was recently reported that the president was seen in a private villa with a head of a military, like, right? And then if I come out and say media is independent, people are just gonna go, well, is it really? Or are you just saying that because they all follow you, right? Like, there's a logic to this that Lunch of Times. Gaston hires freeze amid economic restraints. As Sordland grapples with economic challenges, Gaston, one of the nation's largest companies, has announced a freeze on new hires. Corporation integral to the Sordland's energy sector and a significant contributor to its economy has yet to announce when it intends to lift the hiring freeze. While this development is a blow to Sordland workforce, it is a reminder to the delicate state of our nation's economy. Passed away. The first and most important modern enterprise of Sordland has sadly passed away. The people look up to Conrad as a figure of success, respect, and wealth. After his immediate passing, his son Marcel took over as new CEO of the heartland of conglomerate. The suspicious fire ravages HSU. The rector of HSU, Sander Navek, reported that the fire broke out in the archives of the University Academic Administration building, causing damage to the significant and other types of documents. The Emerald Hospital reported that 5 wounded people are being taken care of, but in stable conditions. After the fire was put out by firefighters, the Swedish Intelligence Directorate condoned the scene in suspicion of foreign subversion and interference. Several academics, including Herman Aqua, has stepped forward with concerns regarding the status of many famous academic papers and recognition stored in the archives. Aqua was quoted saying, "Our greatest quest of knowledge should have been protected better." Conglomerate inaugurate ball. The hosting elite gathered for a lavish state ball. Many citizens in the country are uncertain about their own future, but the state has no problem with wasting taxpayers' dollars from the start. We demand that these traditions will be a thing of the past once the present settles in. The team here at the Radical will keep fighting for a better, more equal tomorrow. Switzerland's regional trade. As the Reign administration starts its first term, there's questions on all our heads. What will be the regional international trade policy? Due to the strategic geopolitical location of Switzerland, the historical Angola and Wales have been natural trading partners. Depending on the direction of the Reign administration, we think it's likely that a new trade deal will be brokered with at least one of these partners in the near future. All in all, regardless of which trade partners the administration goes with, one thing is for certain: regional trade will boost. The real question is, does Vespia think about Switzerland? Dispute between Gamli and Versland. Under the leadership of Glamland's second female president, the ideological dispute between Gamland and Versland has been intensified. Halvestein's government has been inactive promoting development and implementation of the Glamish Manifesto, a unique interpretation of Carlos Marquez's communist theory. The country has been pushing this agenda to other CSP countries, gathering support and building alliances in an effort to strengthen their position in the region. However, international factions backed by the Venezuelan Socialist and United Contana Vladimista posed as a significant challenge to the Valhostier government. These factions are working to undermine the Glamish Manifesto and weaken Glamland's influence among its allies. As tension escalates, both nations find themselves locked in a fierce ideological battle, with potential significant consequences for region stability and cooperation. What do you have to say? Read reports. The dam is in critical need of refurbishing. Lanchev, investment in mega infrastructure. The Ministry of Economic has put forward two bold plans for a mega infrastructure project that would help with the economic recession in the long term. Investments in these projects to this scale would take some portion of our budget, but we could prove worthwhile accomplishing this. Invest in the mega. Read the report. Tourism potential. Which okay is historical, so we can focus on tourism there. Read the report. The party committee report. The reform committee reports that any potential change to the constitution and direction of the reformers will likely result in a strong opposition from the fascists. Okay, the members of the Senate in support of such direction seem to be in great numbers and possibly make up a majority of the Grand National Assembly, with most of the members of the USP seem reluctant to support such changes. So, further investigations by the police department reveal a potential arson case with no identified suspects yet. The police chief of Holston has voiced concerns about suspected sabotage by a foreign nation, inviting the Soilist Intelligence Directorate in an investigation to expand the investigation. This evidence is corded off of the public to discover further evidence. Campaign the oh my god. Okay. So the Grand Assembly of Switzerland have given me this bill, the Electoral Campaign Finance Bill. Section 1 of this bill stipulates that any significant change in the methodology of public funds allocated to political parties. The new measure replaces the previous system based on the number of votes won in the general election with a system reliant on the proportion of seats secured by a political party in the assembly. Okay, this is saying that we need to change how the method of public funds allocate to political parties. The new method, the previous method, which states that it was based on the number of votes on the general election, with a system reliant on a proportion of seats to secure it. Section 2 sets the annual finance allocation to political parties at 50,000 rand per each member of the Senate. This shift ensures that financial support from the public aligns with more closely with the party's representation influence within the body. Section 3, a consequential effect of this amendment will effectively lead to an increase in the for the USB and a minor augment for the parties present in the assembly. This restructure of funding fosters a new proportional representation within the assembly. Highlights an important consequence of this reaction that do not meet the 10% will see the public effectively curtailed. Ensures the public resources are concentrated toward parties with representation. I think we'll sign that. Unfair? Oh no. Okay. What does the news have to say? The campaign finance bill has been signed into law by President Rao after the approval of the Grand National Assembly by a majority vote on Friday following a 3-hour debate. Friends Right, who objected to the funding package, says it contains too much unfairness in the allocation of the budget. Oh no! Also sought to delay proceedings by demanding a formal recorded vote, but was overruled. A new law brings small changes to the criteria for the allocation of campaign budgets and introduced... Well, my logic was that, like, oh, I don't want to fund parties that kind of don't do anything. They just sit there and twiddle their fingers. But Rector's like, well, no, it's unfair. I guess because it doubles mine, it's possibly a new law that further expands on the unfairness of our electoral system has been signed by the Grand and was signed into law. The new law changes the eligibility of public funding. Previously, the funds were given on the basis of number of votes. But these changes will be given based on the number of seats. Well, aren't they equivalent, though? In this system, or are they not? If they're not, then we need to change that. But I thought they were equivalent. Which eliminates every party apart from the 3 that are currently in the Assembly. This insane law also results in the governing USP's chair. As Antoine begins, we at the Radical are already smelling the rot in... Oh my god. Okay, Discussion on the potential infrastructure project. We'll do this, and then we'll probably end the video here. The view towards the Marquis Sea from the Lancia was nothing short of exquisite. The blue side state resident fitting named the Blue Mansion was filled and fine and accommodating. These are, so, Ministry of Internal Gas. Alright, it's our 3 economic boys again. By enjoying the luxurious mansion wasn't the main reason for our visit. We gathered the economic team here to discuss the new infrastructure investment project. Half an hour had already passed since the start of the meeting. Unfortunately, I did not even have a chance to have my usual afternoon coffee. Looking at the view from the window, I let my mind drift for a couple of seconds. Simon's vote has brought me back into an ongoing discussion. Mr. President, we need to focus on boosting the economy as quickly as possible. One of the fastest ways to achieve this is through infrastructure projects. I agree. On one hand, businessmen are complaining about the slow logistical rail network on Holstein and Lanchev. Leia starts talking as soon as Simon took a breath. On the other hand, citizens are criticizing the lack of proper highway connections between Lanchev and Everett. The narrow roads by the seaside are not only dangerous but are difficult to traverse. We need to pick the more profitable option for economic growth. Which, obviously connecting our 2 most economic powerful cities. It's not businessmen who are suffering now, but ordinary folk. What really matters is your first economic act accompanies something tangible. We must improve our economic of the nation and bring it out of recession. To that point, I defined 2 important projects for your attention. The H3 Highway Project, the Speed Rail Project. He positions himself. The Ministry can only support 1 project at a time with our current capacity and budget. Let's move on to the details of each. So which one would you want to hear about first? The High-Speed Rail Project. The High-Speed Rail Project. Your predecessor often failed to deliver on the campaign promise, but now we have an opportunity to start the construction of a groundbreaking railroad project. As you know, our current trains cannot meet the standards of today. As many of other countries adopt new electrical engine technology to power up the futures, we're falling behind. News about a new electric trains in United Quintana has piqued our businesses' interests. They too want to transport resources and materials from Holstein and Lanchev with great speeds and efficiency. The major cities of Suzerain need more infrastructure to support their growing populations. This should be our priority growth and development optimization. Our plan is to upgrade the old L1 line from Holstein to Lanchev. It will be transformed into a high-speed railway. Got a map. Points at Holstein and the map of Simone. The plan can start here right at the capital. From here it will go to Enrico first, then to Gresnov, then to Lanchev, our economic powerhouse. Leans forward. The L1 will be a significant boost to our economy from the newly linked cities and will even the rural areas between. Our transport hub in the goods. Okay. Yes, I think we should link these areas. We're talking about the wealthiest region in Forgotten. I'm forgetting about England the most. Okay. Business in the region will be very content, which will in turn will increase. Therefore, I recommend it. The highway project. Well, improved the dismal state of the road network in Anglia region bordering Angola. The area is to several million Anglo-Scottish citizens who are feeling neglected. There's no proper highway connecting it to Anglia in the maritime. Nice for a bigger development region. He told us that even trucks are having a difficult time traveling through the main road. The increased traffic is causing reasons for people commuting in and out of the region. That must be cumbersome for the citizens. It is. Bless their souls, I'm happy we're thinking alike on the matter. Let's take a more detailed look at the upgrade proposal. Was pointing at Lanchev. The H3 highway starts here in Lanchev. Then here goes to Lincoln. From here, Amvon. As a result, that improves Angola capital, will also improve. As mayor, I saw the central government continue to neglect our country's Anglo-Scottish dominated regions. It is an administration going to continue this kind of neglect. I see this. Our Anglos should be respected as swords like the rest of us. Yes, there should be no preference or separation among the swords. Meanwhile, we should all be thinking about what's best. It has to be pointed out the highway could be less beneficial in the short term. I have to agree. It will increase speed of transportation throughout the region. Every accomplished. Besides, if we enter trade talks with Angola, they could see it as a positive sign. I have settled on the debate. Excellent. What will be your final choice? I think we should... Okay. We have these most productive cities, which is true. But the only problem is if we don't raise it up. My logic is this. If we raise up the more poorer regions up to the already established level, from that will help us naturally. Well, yes, technically we would probably pull out of our economy faster. We're also supporting the regions a little bit better. So I think for this time, because this region's already getting another project. So if we connect the poorer region, I think we'll do just fine. Thank God I knew you would see reason. The negotiations will begin in the middle of this year. You will be able to award the contract to a corporation of your choice. The ministry estimates the construction will be complete in 2 years if every step is going forward successfully. Thank you for your contributions and thoughts. Have a good day. See you soon, Mr. Renner. Have a nice day, Mr. President. And it goes on line, chef. Alright, I think that is where we'll leave it off for today. If you did, please like that button and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the other videos in the series, and don't forget to comment down below what you believe, any faction one you have. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye. And our economy is stable!